Good day, friends. New project on the bench this morning, and this model of guitar is no stranger to friend. Ibanez RG570, made in Japan. This one has been stripped back, and the body or the wood has been, I believe it's been true oiled. Looks okay, wouldn't be my choice, but you know, very nice guitars, made in Japan. Scarf joint, nice and neat. I'm not sure it looks brilliant, it just ending quite abruptly like that as it does there, but that said, what lovely guitars these are. And this has come in, don't really think it even needs a setup, but it does need the tremolo setting up. It belongs to a regular client, well, a friend actually, a church friend. So he's bought this in. He bought the guitar a couple of weeks ago. I says, he didn't know where he wanted to do it. I says, well, it looks okay as it is. I said, why don't you play it for a week and then bring it back, or come back in a week's time. It's actually been 2 weeks, and let me know what you think and what needs changing. Well, the locking tremolo needs adjusting because these adjusters are at the end of their adjustment here and it's still not staying in tune. So I'm going to set up the locking tremolo. I'm tempted to call it a Floyd Rose. It's not a Floyd Rose, it's a Floyd Rose type double locking tremolo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to try and show you how to do this from scratch. I'm going to remove all of the strings, but before I do that, what I am going to do is I'm going to show how to set it up with the strings already on. Then I'm going to remove the strings. I'm going to clean up the guitar, polish the frets, give it a bit of a setup, and then I'm going to set the Floyd Rose. I've done it there, you see. I'm going to set the locking tremolo up from scratch. So I'm going to try and show as much detail as I can, but one thing against me this morning is I'm a little bit pushed for time because I have a lot on at the moment. So if I talk less, I'm going to do more work, won't I? So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm going to move the camera. See you in a minute. So what we need to do when setting up a double locking tremolo is we need to block this, the block, we need to block it off and stop the tremolo moving. Now normally I will stick some business cards under this part, but you can't do it with this guitar because of the way it's built, or with this tremolo. So what we're going to do is we're going to block the tremolo inside this small gap here, and there's enough gap in there probably to get, there's a 5mm gap at the top and probably a 2mm gap at the bottom. So we're going to try and find something to block the tremolo off, to stop the tremolo moving. We need this completely stable, the springs pulling it right back and not moving at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two locking screws for the springs, and I'm going to move this spring to one side, and that way it gives me more space to work in, because I'm going to probably stick, I don't know what I'm going to stick in there. I do have, I'm going to put these aside, and what we need to do is I'm going to put this tremolo top side if I can get it out. They do go in at a slight angle, so I should be able to pull this out. No, I can't. That's great. The problem with this is I need to push it forwards to get it out. Can you see? Right, there you go. Tremolo arm in, and that's the problem with these tremolos. That noise, that scratching, we don't want that, but what can I do about it? Right, so to get this out, I'm going to pull on the tremolo arm, move the tremolo back, and I should be able to just get that out then. There you go. So what I need to do is, I don't want to lose the pull. And out of the way. So I'm going to use this hole. Just got that on there, and that's good. So we have enough pull on the tremolo. Now what we're going to try and do is I'm going to try and get a block in there. I'm going to see if I've got any. I used to have some pre-made. It's better to show you than explain. Do I have any still? All sorts of bits and pieces. Oh, there you go. There's one. It's just some washers taped together. They'll have various thicknesses. And Oh, there you go, and I used to use this as well. All these things just to hold tremolo in the place I want it to be. Bird's eyes appear to have lost a couple of those. Right, so I do have a backup plan. I bought these. And they may work. I'm just going to try this one and put this in that slot there. It might just be enough. And I think, oh, so that seems to be perfect. And it is just about perfect. Let me just have a look. Okay, it's a little bit too much. I'm going to remove it. We need something, the correct thing. What I'm going to do is, this is just a couple of washers taped together. I'm going to remove some of this tape because it's a little bit too thick. So I'm going to take off a layer or two of this tape like so. And I'm going to go back in with this. Tremolo arm is there just to give me a bit more leverage if I need it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wedge this in this slot. And hopefully the tremolo is straight. Still, oh, I don't know, it's pretty good, it's pretty good. Might be one level too thick, or one layer. Again, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to remove this yellow tape completely, and this should give me the right width. You see what we're doing here? I'm going to jam this in that gap. And that is just about perfect. So what we then need to do is, now we've got that jammed in there, we need to tighten these screws in as much as they will go to give us more tension than we need. And now this will not move, it's stable. And what I can do is I can release the locking clamps at that end, but the tremolo will stay exactly where it is. So right Allen wrench. I hope I'm explaining this well. I'm a little bit on the groggy side this morning. I went out to a pool match last night and probably drank more beer than I ought to have done. But anyway, this is how I would set it up with the strings already on. We're going to loosen these clamps. And if I loosen the strings, that tremolo is going to stay there. But I'm not going to loosen the strings. What I'm going to do is we're going to set these fine tuners in the centre position. So with one all the way back and one all the way down, we're going to set these in the centre. So what we'll do is we'll get one all the way out, one all the way in, we'll set this in the centre, and we'll bring all the other ones to match the one in the centre. And now what we're going to have is, we've got the tremolo still in the floating position. It will not pull backwards. I mean, it will not come forwards because we'll put more tension on the springs. We're going to set these exactly halfway. You can't really see what I'm doing, but you should, I'm sure you can understand what I'm doing. So we've got these fine tuners halfway set, just over half, a bit higher than halfway. And that means when we come to adjust these, when the strings are all clamped down again, we've got a lot of adjustment either way. We can go up, we can sharpen or flat the note or the string. So what we're going to do is now we're going to tune the guitar. I'm going to need a guitar tuner, which I have. I'm going to try and find a guitar lead, which I think I have. Perfect, short one. Just get it close. This is just to show you guys So we now have a guitar in tune. We have the fine tuners set in the middle, probably a turn back from the middle. And what we can do now is, once we've ensured that the strings are all stretched in, we'll lock the clamps again. That's exactly what we're going to do. We'll lock the clamps. There you go. Check the tuning. And all we have to do is remove this block like so. Now all the strings should be sharp. Very sharp, you see, because what's happened is now we move that block out, it's pulled the tremolo right back, and all we need to do now to get the guitar in tune is to loosen these screws until, for instance, we'll pluck the A string, which is more or less playing a C, and we're just going to undo these claw springs until we get that A note, playing an A note. And that is just a little bit flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten these screws again. Play the A. A little bit flat. Just tighten these screws again, just a little bit. You see what I'm doing here? And that is an A note. It's a bit sharp. That's the thing with having guitars in different positions. So much easier to do in the playing position, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the guitar in the playing position, just take my word for it, and I'm going to play an A. And then a little bit flat, so we're just going to slightly tighten the springs again. And there you go, we are in tune. So now, with the strings locked at this end, the tremolo perfectly horizontal, we have the guitar in tune just about. We'll just need to adjust the fine tuners to get it to where we need it to be. Try again. And there you go. And we have tremolo perfectly horizontal, floating. Guitar is in tune. The tuners adjust back from halfway. You've got adjustment both ways. And that's how we set a 2-point floating tremolo or a double locking tremolo on a guitar that's already strung. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do exactly the same thing with a new set, putting a new set of strings on there. Now, because I'm setting this guitar up anyway, I'm not going to be setting the tremolo yet, so I'm going to come back to that in a while. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the strings off, we're going to have a look at the fretboard, we're going to check the frets, and we're going to spend the next few minutes obviously getting all that sorted out. Then we'll come back and I'll show you how to set a tremolo up from scratch. I've scrapped the idea of moving the camera because it just didn't work from the angle I was trying to achieve. So I'm going to keep the camera where it is, and I'll bring the guitar to the camera, so to speak. So one thing I'm going to mention that I don't like, and that is putting the strings in backwards. People tend to do that because you don't have to wrap around too much, but what I find is where these wrap around the post, it causes a stress point, and the strings do not seat properly around the post, and I don't like it. So I'm not going to string it that way. I'm going to string this the conventional way by cutting the ball ends off, putting the right end in the tremolo and the other end, and we are going to wrap the strings around the tuning pegs as you are supposed to. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get these strings off, and I've loosened them, as you can see, and I'm going to snip these ball ends off. And again, this is a bit of a pain because you haven't got a lot to work with, but well, it doesn't matter, I can clip them this side anyway. It's just, I don't like doing this because look, can't even get this one out. That is not going to sit around a tuning peg properly. So I don't do it, I don't string it this way. Ball ends off. We'll put the new strings in properly, but what I'm going to be doing in a minute is I'm going to be checking. Can't even get into that one. Cut that one there. We're checking the frets once I've got the neck straight. So I'm going to check things anyway for the setup. If I don't have to alter anything, I'm not going to charge for it. But there you go, there's the strings. I'm going to just snip them off at this end. Don't cut 6 at once, just do them one at a time, otherwise you'll knacker your cutters. You don't want that. So anyway, I'm going to get my neck straight, going to check the frets, I'll come back with an update shortly. Morning fret friends. We have the RG570 ready for fret leveling, and what I'm going to do is, what I've first done is I've altered the truss rod to get the neck straight, which it is. Now we're going to go across with the fret rocker and determine which of the frets need leveling and in which areas. Fret rocker, 4 lengths, precision cut, laser cut, so it's flat, and we have 4 different lengths so we can check 3 frets at a time. The reason we check 3 at a time is if one is high, it will rock. Listen. And as we progress down the neck, we use different lengths, so we're always checking 3 frets. So that one all the way across. Mark it with pen where it needs attention. I will be spot leveling this. I won't be doing the whole lot with a leveling beam like I do if I was doing a complete fret level. Because at least these frets are spaced out a little, and some of them don't need a lot of attention. And 4 already need attention. So that's my wife, you can hear in the background, she's answering a phone call. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets so far, 6. Already getting to the realms of where I should be considering a complete fret level. That's 7. I'm still going to spot level them. Sorry about that, that's my wife on the phone. I'll stop the video here. I'll turn on the video in. And we're back. And yeah, already more frets on this than I thought there were going to be. All being well, there won't be any at this end. It means I won't have to remove the neck. And that's wonderful, because the last fret is there. I won't have to remove the neck to work on these. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frets. Certainly a lot more than I expected. By rights I should be levelling the whole lot, but that is a lot more work, it's a lot more hours, so I am going to still just spot level them. To spot level, I'll be using my flat file, made by Valorb in Switzerland. It's a number 2 cut file, super smooth. Is it number 2 or number 4? Oh my goodness, it's number 4. That's why it's super smooth, flat and super smooth. I have one flat side, and normally if I was going to level all of the frets I'd be going this way, but I ain't doing that with this, because if I do that I've got re-crown and polish a whole lot. It's going to take me hours. I'm just going to basically spot level them. So anywhere where they're high, like here for instance, I'm just going to spot level that one. And I'm going to steady the file with my finger underneath, and I'm just going to follow the radius, and I'm just going to gently cut over the fret and check again. It's still high, but only right on the edge now. Brilliant. Always wipe the file clean. Steady with my hand this side. Check again. That fret is now level. Check one back and one forward, and that fret is now level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark down the numbers of these frets that are being worked on, so I don't forget, because then when it comes to crowning, I'm only going to crown those ones later. So we have fret number 16. I'll mark it down, fret 16, and I'll know to re-crown that one. Like I say, check it again, it's fine. We move one back and one forward just to check, and that's fine. So one already done. I'm going to leave that one because I'm working this side. I'm going to have to turn the guitar around 180 degrees to work on that proper, so I'm going to work on this one now. Wipe the file, only at this outside edge there on this one. Again, steady the file. Good. Check one back, I know one forward. I know this one's already, this one next to it is high anyway, so I'm going to do this one, then we're going to check the height again, just this end. Steady the file. Check. Beautiful. That one's still high again now because I've removed material from there. It's made this one high again. And this is the problem when you spot leveling like this. If I alter this one fret, these two either side of it are also it's going to alter the relationship between those two. It's why when I get above 5 frets needing leveling, I do the lot. Otherwise you're not going to get a consistent level. So those two I'll do. Check one forward and one back, they're fine. So I've already got 3 done. Like I say, not a lot of work. That's why I don't charge as much for spot leveling like I do, because it is quite a bit quicker. So we have 3 done. We have this one to do still. Like I say, I'm going to turn the guitar 180 degrees so I can work on this side. Otherwise I'm going to be digging the file into the body, and we don't want that. So we'll leave that one there. Very, very slight on this one, but not too high. So also this one should need minimal work. Again, steady the file. One back, one forward. Well, that one's done. I've not written the numbers down. 16, 14, 13, 12. 16, 14, 13, 12. 2, 3, 6 and 7. 7, 6, 3, 2. So they're the frets I'm working on. So I know where to go now when I'm recrowning them later. I'm going to check this one again. Perfect. Steady the file. Going back, one forward, beautiful, that one's done. Last two, check these again. This one is virtually all the way across, from there to there. Now what I've not explained is, if I was doing all of the frets, I would be using the file that way and we just level a lot easier. Thing is, we're doing it this way, I must be certain or must be sure, I'm really careful to not cut too much, because if I remove too much material from the top of a fret, I've then got to bring every other fret down to the level of the low one or the lowest one. So again, with this, it's not a case of measure twice, cut once, it's measure 5 times, then measure again. But you do get to feel the radius, and you get to know what it feels like, and you can feel an inconsistency with the file when you've been doing it long enough like I have. So nice even strokes. Try not to go too deep. And that is saying that's perfect. I'm going to check it again, because it's very rare you get it that perfect that quickly. Here you go. Always check, always checking. I'm not pressing at the moment, I'm just letting the file glide across the fret and find its level. And that is it. And what I must do is check back one, check forward one. Now I know this one's high next to it, so it's not going to give me a proper read until I file this one down. So we're going to go, that one needs filing all the way across. This is one I've got to be really careful on. Again, just bring it over that way. I can have a finger underneath just to steady the file. Still high. Sometimes I slightly angle the file because there are just a high bit on one side. Well, the middle area is fine, it's just the edges now. And we are done. Can't check one back because we're out of frets, but I can check one forward again. And this one's probably gone high because I've removed material from there. This is now showing high again, which is totally normal. Like I say, this is why when we get to about more than 5 frets we do the lot, because otherwise we're forever going to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, and we'd be there days. And you wouldn't get it flat all level, we wouldn't get them all level that way. And that's it. So what we're going to do is we're going to check this one again. High on the edge, but just on this edge now. And there you go. and one back. And that is it, that is the frets level. We still have this one to do, but I have done 7. I'll turn the guitar round, try and get the same distance away. And I'm working this fret now, last one. And like I said, turn it around because I'm working that way. I don't want to be working over this part of the body, because if I slip with the file, I could damage it up. Oh, I will damage that. We don't want to do that. So again, steady as we go. Nice and steady on this one. That's good. Check one forward, check one back. And that, to me, says these frets are now level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the guitar back in the position I would like to work. And we're going to check all of the frets again. We may still have a little high spot somewhere. Are we good there? Yeah, we are good there. Checking all of the frets now again. So far so good. These frets are now all level. That is how I spot level. You have to be very, very careful with, like I say. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recrown them. I'm going to do one on camera. I'm going to cover the top of the whole fret I've just levelled. In fact, I'll do these two with marker pen. And what we've done is, now we've levelled these, frets are crowned that way. They were crowned like an upside down D shape. And that's because we want the string to hit a small amount of the fret, probably about 1/2 millimetre, no more than 1/2 millimetre, and probably not much less. So where we've flattened the frets, I need to rebuild that crown. And there's a couple of ways I can do this, but I prefer to use my 3-edged or my 3-corner file. It's got ground smooth edges, so when I'm on the wood itself, I'm not going to cut into the wood, it's smooth. But what I do anyway, to make the job even easier and safer, and so I don't damage anything, is I like to tape up the fingerboard. And if I was doing the lot, I'd have the whole fingerboard taped up. Because I'm only doing a few frets, I'm doing 8 frets. And this is going to make sure, if I do slip with the file, which I won't by the way, but if I do, it's not going to damage the wood. And there you go. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to use my 3-cornered file. Really, really simple. And as I'm on the far side of the fret, I'm going to angle the file toward the camera as I file. And on the near side, I'm going to angle the file away from the camera. And we're going to build up that crown. Really simple. This only cuts on the push stroke, but I'll do forwards and backwards because it's easier. Always clean the file. And it doesn't take long. See how I'm angling the file? And I'm looking to get a thin line of pen down the centre of that fret, which I have. So I've re-crowned that, blow away the rubbish, then get my profiling file, already got a groove, and this is going to remove any inconsistencies or any burrs that are left. Still got a thin line down the centre, which means we've not removed any height. Let's check it. Beautiful, that is one done. Move across to the next one. and that's why I write down the numbers of frets, because I'm only going to recrown the ones I've worked on. So there you go. Always clean the file. Same again. Always clean the file. Check the height. Check one back. Check one forward. Perfect. Those two are done. 6 more to do. Once that's done, we're going to get all the frets polished up and we can rebuild the guitar. With the frets levelled and crowned, moving on to the polishing stage. And what I've done is, before that, sprayed the fingerboard with some lemon oil. It's not lemon oil, it's specially formulated mineral oil with a hint of lemon zest in there to make it smell nice. Specially formulated by the guitar companies. It nourishes the fingerboard. The fingerboard's normally Palferro, rosewood, ebony, any of the dark woods. Great stuff. This is the particular one I use. And I've sprayed the fingerboard, and I'm going to let that soak in. It's going to lift all the crap out. It's also going to nourish the wood. And while it's doing that, I'm going to take a fingerboard guard like so, and I'm going to polish over the frets with some finest grade steel wool. I've already done first 10 or 11. I think I've gone up to fret 12, and it's just a matter of get the guard on there so we don't scratch the wood. Because if we're scratching this wood anyway, why are we scratching it that way, not that way? Anyway, fret guard over there, and it's just a matter of polishing over. And now I've got a wider one there. I've already went up, before I start using the fret guard or the fingerboard guard, I went up the edges. And now, like I say, it's just a matter of get the guard on there, get your nails right and get right into the corners, over the top. And this is just going to remove all of the tarnishing, any dead skin or anything on there, any sweat build-up or whatever. It's just good to do this every couple of months. Keep your guitar clean, give it a wipe before you play it, give it a wipe after you play it. Get something like some, what do you call it? What's that fret stuff? Fast fret. That's pretty good stuff. And give it a wipe down when you've played it, get the sweat off it. Because it does build up and it gets quite cruddy and disgusting. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this frets polished. And I'm going to leave this oil to soak in another 10 minutes. And I'm just going to wipe it off. And once it's wiped off, we get some strings back on. I'm going to come back and show you how to set the Floyd Rose with double locking tremolo from scratch. Well, I'm going to show you how I set it up from scratch. It is not easy, but it is not difficult. I've been setting up Floyd Roses and the like 30, 32, 33, 34 years. And you just need to know what you're doing. Once you get your formula right and you know what you're doing, once the method's right, it is really simple. They stay in tune, they're stable, and I love them. But anyway, that's for a little bit later. So, I'm going to let this soak in a bit. Once it's soaked in, I'll wipe it off and we will come back. Okay guys, I've slightly altered the way I'm going to set this tremolo. And at the end of the day, it's what works for you. There are various ways to get this tremolo blocked, but what I've decided to do is I've reset the springs. I don't like them going in a V, I like them going straight. So I've set them straight, I've put the lock back on to stop the springs slipping out, and I've decided to set the tremolo level this way. And what I've done is, so I don't mark the guitar, now this is just oiled, there's no lacquer on there or anything, so using two, basically we set some action rules, 2 pieces of metal anyway. I have an Allen wrench going right under the tremolo, and under the tremolo here, or next to the tremolo here, I can still adjust all of these saddle screws. I can adjust these, and the tremolo is not going to move. It is perfectly horizontal. See if I can show you there where it needs to be. Probably even better try and show you that way. That angle is part of the tremolo itself here. It's meant to have that angle there. Trust me, it's perfectly level. And there, I have a tremolo perfectly set with the springs tightened right up so this cannot move. And I'm going to put the strings on. Really easy to set up this way. I'm going to talk about a fingerboard a little bit later on, because this has been altered or adjusted. In fact, it's been sanded, but it's been sanded that way, the wrong way. Should have been sanded that way if it was cleaning it up, but I'll talk more about that later. So remember, we have already levelled all of the frets. We now have the tremolo level pulled back, perfectly horizontal. And I'm going to install the strings, and we're going to go with a set of 9s. Blah, 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 blah. So I don't really need to show you how to put strings on a Floyd Rose guitar. What I am going to be doing is I'm going to cut the ball ends off and insert them in the saddles as they should be inserted. In fact, I will show you the first one. I am a bit of a traditionalist and I like to install strings correctly. I've noticed a lot of people, quite a few people installing strings with the ball end here at this end and going through and underneath. I don't like to do that. I'm a bit of a traditionalist and I like to do things the right way, if indeed there is a right way. There are many ways, I suppose, but I like to be traditional. So what I'm going to do is take the 6th string, like so. I'm going to snip off the ball end, get the scissors out of the way, they're not needed. I'm going to snip off the ball end, like so. We all know how to snip off ball end cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the guitar closer to the camera just to show you how to install and insert these strings correctly. I am going to zoom in just slightly. There you go, that should be good enough. Allen keys, I do have some Allen keys out, here they are. So, I'm going to get the right Allen wrench, get the string right first, that end into the bridge. Make sure we have the correct Allen wrench. Don't appear to have the drive one out, not sure. There you go. So I've not slackened these off. I could really wish we'd do some really long Allen keys rather than these just short little things are about 2 inches long. They're no good. Just faffing about all the time. So let's see where we are. Take the end of the string, insert it all the way in so it hits the bass. Not quite gone back enough yet, so we're going to, there you go, that is all the way in. And that is how much string goes inside, all the way in, till it hits the bass, like so. And then we can tighten the clamp. That's all the way in, and all we're going to do is we're going to bring it up. A couple of things I'm going to remind you of in a second. Wow, that not fit in there. I think I'm going to invest in some really long Allen keys. So that's nice and tight. Bend the string, bring it all the way through. Basically, I'm going to move the guitar again in a minute. I'm not going to move the camera, I'm going to move the guitar because it'll make things a lot easier to explain. And now you can just about see here. I like to bring the string round the back, through and under, like so. And I'm a big fan of string winds round posts. Have a couple round here. It's just the way I like to do things. How's that for you? And I'm going to get all the strings on. I'll do them in the correct order, following the stagger. Let me just get this right down so you can see what I'm doing. You know how to put the strings in at the far end, at the bridge end, so I'm going to carry on, ball end off, snip, just lay the string where it needs to be for now. Just with an key, just moving the saddle screws. Okay, take my word for it, string in. Make sure we go all the way as shown previously. You'll get about 9mm of string end down the saddle, or where the saddle locks are. Make sure they are all the way in. And there you go. Now this time we're going to have to go under the string retainer bar, underneath, turn the tuners the right way, around the back. I always go around the back. Plenty of slack. Probably get about 2 winds around this one, so move these out of the way. Just make sure it always goes underneath. And there you go, that's fine. Don't need to show you this, but you're here. And that's it. I'm going to get the rest of the strings on, and then I'll come back and show you how we set the tremolo. Down to the nitty gritty. So we have the guitar restrung, so everything's at tension. We're in tune, or very closely in tune. So what I've done off camera is I've checked the action at the bridge, well not the bridge, at the 12th fret, which is fine. 1.7mm on the low E, 1.5 on the high E. I'm just about to check the relief in the neck, which I believe is right. And I would always be looking at relief at about 0.2 to 0.25mm under the 9th fret. So I've got a 0.2mm feeler gauge there. And we're just going to go, we've got a not straight edge on the fingerboard or on the neck. And we're just going to go underneath the 9th fret with 0.2mm. And what I'm looking for is just it touching. And that's just touching. If we go with 0.25, 0.25 should give us a wobble. And you can hear that. So we're 0.25 there, more or less exactly, and it's just rocking. See? That is the perfect amount of relief. Again, I will just measure under the 12th fret, the space from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. And I'm looking about 1.75. Could go lower, but 1.75 is a good industry standard for me. And that is exactly 1.75. On the far side, we have exactly 1.5mm. So with the strings at tension, the relief set, the action all good, we're going to get on to setting the tremolo. And what we've still got it horizontal. You'll now note that I've removed the 2 pieces of metal. And we have 2 business cards under each side with an Allen key right underneath where these fine tuners go. It's not interrupting anything. The tremolo is perfectly level, perfectly straight. Nothing's going to get marked because of the business cards. And what we're going to do now is we're going to stretch the strings in. Can't lock them down yet as much as we'd like to, because if I do lock them down, remove the cards and set the tremolo, as soon as we use the tremolo, everything's going out of tune because the strings would not have been stretched. So I'm going to stretch all of the strings. And this is my least favourite job, especially on the top E. But I have to do it. So remember, we've got all of these fine tuners set, not halfway, but not right at the top. So we're going to go, I like to go back about 4 turns, not 4 full turns, but, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to set all of them to that height. And it means we've got plenty of adjustment downwards and plenty upwards. So get these all straight, then we look for tuning. So that's pretty good. So stretch the strings. I'm going with a set of 942s on this, which is what's been asked for. Over to the B string. And I will stretch these a few times. Because what I'm aiming to do here is get all the stretch out of the strings before I lock them down. Once all the stretch is out and we lock them down, then we can remove the holding bar at the back and we can set the springs, and once it's back in tune, we've got all the stretch out of the strings. No matter how much you use that tremolo, it will go back to tune. So I'm going to tune these off, stretch these off camera. I'll be back soon. So with the strings on, the neck set, everything clamped, the guitar in tune and everything clamped up. I've checked the intonation. Intonation's fine. I had to adjust a couple of saddles, but it's absolutely fine now. Just get the guitar in the playing position. You're not going to see it, but just take my word for it. We are in tune. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set the tremolo. And how we do that is I'm going to remove the tuner for now. I'm going to remove the bar underneath the tremolo. And what's going to happen is, because I've got the spring so tight, it's going to pull the tremolo up. I'm going to show you here. Best way to do it. There you go. So I've got the guitar resting on my shoulder, which is brilliant. Tremolo in. I'm going to remove this bar. What's going to happen is, with the spring so tight, it's going to pull the tremolo back and everything should go sharp. Out of the way. Soon find out when I get it tuned back in. So I'm going to check the tuning. This is why we over tighten the springs, by the way. So let's see where we are. And that's beautiful. So everything is sharp. So how do we get that back in tune? Really, really easy. What we're going to do is we're going to loosen these claw screws until the guitar drops back in tune. So basically, when we've got this tremolo level again, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. I'm going to take a screwdriver, I'm going to hit the A string, and I'm going to loosen these claw screws here. And once the A string drops in, I'm hoping you can see a bit of that. Not the perfect angle, but we're still a B sharp. So a B flat, A sharp. So what we're going to do is we're just going to always keep in this claw level. We should be close now. We're a little bit sharp. Just small turns now. In the playing position. Still sharp. I'm going to move the camera and get in the playing position. This makes things a lot easier because you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to concentrate on the A string. We're still sharp. I'm going to turn these down just a tiny, tiny bit. The A string is now in tune. So it just makes sense that the other should follow. Okay, a couple of others are a little sharp. What we're going to do is we're just going to basically straighten up the claw spring, like so. Claw spring at the top there is now perfectly straight. We're very, very close to tuning, and I'm going to do the final tuning on the fine tuners here. So we'll look at the A string. Perfect. So D is a little sharp. E string is flat. I'm going to bring the E back in. There you go. We are now in perfect tune. We have the tremolo perfectly level, floating so we can go back or forwards. Guitar in tune, set up perfectly, and it is all finished. Just check the tuning again one more time. And that is it. The guitar is all finished. Just going to tidy up my desktop, get the camera exactly where I need it to be, and we're going to tie this video up. So friends, let's recap. Japanese made Ibanez RG570 or 570 came in, certainly needed setting up and a tremolo setting up, but it became apparent that some of the frets were high, quite a few frets, half a dozen, 6, 7, 8. So I sorted the frets out. I've now sorted the tremolo out, set it all up. Tremolo is floating beautifully. The guitar is in tune. You've had a little bit of an insight of how to set up the Floyd Rose properly. It is all about getting this level first. Get that level, get it blocked up, over tighten the springs, and then you can do the rest. And it's exactly what we've done. Looking at that, the pickups are maybe a little bit low. I shall move them in a moment, but the guitar is finished. It's set up and it looks pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the paint stripped off. I don't think that wood's good enough to be stripped. If I'd stripped it myself, I'd have probably stained it. But end of the day, the guy, I know what the guy paid for this. He paid £275, I think, which is a fair price. But the guitar is set up and it is ready to go. So I'm going to sign off for now. I'm just going to remind you of my websites before I do go, so where you can check anything you want to check about me, find out what I do, where I am, my prices, what I do, blah, blah, blah. And so I would suggest that you go to Facebook, facebook.com/NG17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I also have my main website up and running at fretfriend.co.uk. I'm still waiting to get it all finished, but it is up there and running. You'll get another idea. There's plenty of pictures up there, show the work I do. So that's fretfriend.co.uk, but your best place is facebook.com/NG17. My name is Victor. I'm your Fret Friend. And until the next project, boys and girls, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you next time.